G'day Internet, Max right here, and we see Bitcoin making a massive move today. Why? It's kind of fun actually. I get to talk about the politics and not boring old technical analysis and fun stuff like that. So let's get into it. So thank you, Kevin Trudeau, for being Canadian Prime Minister, of course, being the biggest salesperson for Bitcoin. We greatly appreciate his work. For those of you who don't know, Canada just announced a state of emergency and emergency powers, and basically just announced to the world that what they're going to do is they are just going to seize the bank accounts of people and corporations who have trucks or are involved in the protest. So just really revealed to everybody the money in the bank account is not yours. You can get screwed big time. They can take everything off of everyone whenever they want. And as a result, you saw a massive jump up in the price of Bitcoin, $2,000 in the last kind of 12 to 18 hours, I think. So let's talk about a little bit big picture stuff, because this is really heating up, which is kind of fun. This is like the goal, I would suggest. So for those of you who don't know, you have been in a war your entire life. From the moment that you were born, you were in a war for your freedom. And during that time, there were nefarious actors working very hard to make sure that we all remained ignorant of that war so that we never ever took the battlefield and went into combat against them. Okay, they took over the education system. They gave subsidized universities. They, enslaved people with student debts to become less employable, less skilled, but get indoctrinated. That was them growing their ranks and enlisting into their army. They had to shut down the internet. Well, didn't shut down the internet, but they had to shut down sites, and they had to censor all the major social media sites. They've just burned billions of dollars worth of value in news organizations and branding. Nobody trusts that nonsense anymore. All of this was designed to keep people out of the fight, to keep them ignorant that a fight for your freedom was even taking place. In the meantime, they were recruiting massive numbers on their side, building institutions and mechanisms for your enslavement. So while this was happening, and while many people were ignorant of this war that was going on, slowly but surely, the noose was tightening around your neck. So that is the battlefield. It's been going on your entire life. It's not something that's 3 years old. It's not something that's post-Trump. It's not something that's even this 21st century. It has been going on for a very long time. We can go all the way back to the, public education kind of got really big around the late 1800s. We have the Central Bank of America, the Federal Reserve, and income tax being enacted in 1913. All of these things were part of this war. This is all part of the noose tightening around your neck. The massive expansion of the welfare state after the Great Depression that they caused through the central bank, Federal Reserve. So all of these things, just like dominoes, lay out. They've done it in a very slow, very patient way. They've managed to keep people asleep for decades and decades and decades and decades. And why do I say something quite dark, which is like this is heating up, and I say that's a good thing? So why? So Gandhi said that the role of the civil disobedient was to bring out into the open the violence of the authoritarian for the rest of the world to see. And that is how you enlist numbers to your cause, right? It was a very powerful message. And that's what this has kind of been about all along. So one of the good things about Bitcoin is it attacks one of the weakest points in our enemies' ranks, which is the financial system, the banking system, the fiat system. It is it's simultaneously one of their strongest points. It's one of the most important things. It's how they fund everything. It's how they can buy billions of dollars worth of newspapers and television stations and networks and movie houses and all these things, all to just piss away all that branding and lose trust in the public by trying to convince you of A, B, or C. Why can they do that? How can they fund that? It's because they can create as much money as they want through the mechanisms of central bank and fractional reserve banking. Right, so it's an extremely important, it's one of their most potent weapons, but it's also a very weak and vulnerable one that relies on the use of a lot of force to keep it in play. Right, there's been many a person try to create alternatives to fiat currency and banking systems, Liberty dollars and gold money and a whole bunch of other things like that. Those people all kind of end up in jail. Men with guns come and confiscate all the gold, etc., etc. You know the history. If you're a subscriber of this channel, you know the history of money well. Along comes Bitcoin, and all of a sudden we have this thing that, all the guns in the world just doesn't mean anything. It's uncensorable. And so we have this now atomic weapon to attack at the heart, one of their biggest Achilles heels, but it's the heart of their operation, how they fund absolutely everything. And it's also the scariness of being able to take everything off of everyone. And it's a huge weapon for them, just as Trudeau has done. He's threatened to seize the bank accounts of anyone who disagrees. Yeah? If you want to protest his authoritarian rule, okay, you got a problem, because they're going to make you poor. They're going to take everything. You're going to be dirt, everything you've worked for, gone. Like that. And there's never been a way to really protect yourself, but there is now with Bitcoin. And so following in Gandhi's mentality there of bring out the authoritarianism for everybody to see, what that does is that enlists people in the freedom movement, right? And right now the numbers of freedom-loving people are absolutely exploding. Why? Because we have brought the authoritarianism out into the fold for everyone to see. You saw it take a massive step forward with the Trump years. You saw just the absolute collapse in the mainstream media, the narrative. You saw them force a very, very heavy hand at Facebook, at YouTube, at Twitter to censor everybody and everything. You saw that come out, right? And because people see that come out, it means the numbers enlisted in the freedom movement have just absolutely exploded. Now, something that I have done very, very effectively, I would argue, is they shut down a place for us to organize. One of the places to organize, I would say the premier place for us to organize was the Donald, right? And that site got shut down after January 6th. And to my knowledge, there's nothing that's really there that really is a good place for people to organize. That was a very, very, very powerful resource, and we did lose that one for sure. I think people now are organizing in smaller little communities. And online communities, Discord channels, things like that, and things are getting done. And that's why I think this trucker protest, I think what happens is, because the media tried to ignore it at first, keep it small, but because we haven't been able to organize, because we as individuals haven't been able to express ourselves, and our numbers are so large, the moment something pops up that, we can contribute to this via GoFundMe, we can go and stand out there ourselves, we can bring our vehicles, we can do things. There's just years of pent up was wanting to get out and fight this in this war, and all of a sudden there's a release valve. It's we can do this, boom, 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 and it comes thick and fast, and that's what's happening with this. So mission accomplished already. I mean, I think the narrative is collapsing, and pretty much no matter how dumb you are, you realize that the masks are absolute bullshit. You realize the mandates are bullshit. You realize, whether or not the philosophy of you own your body and the government doesn't own your body. So that. Whether or not that philosophy is sinking in with people, that people the government doesn't have a right to force medication on you or restrict your freedom of movement if you don't have medication that they want you to have. I'm not sure if the philosophy side thing is there, but certainly it'll come. In the same way that with Bitcoin, there's a chance to get rich. That's what brought people in. So, come for the wealth creation, stay for the principles type thing. And so all those kinds of things will happen. So the truckers have already won because they have forced Trudeau to reveal himself. And we also, again, there's so many people. This is just a global issue because all of the governments just locked down their citizens and became absolute tyrants on, day one of this. And that's, the whole world is watching. It's this is what they're doing. More of the tyrant's behavior is revealed. It makes more people sympathetic to the freedom cause. Because you've got to remember, it's still the vast majority of the planet doesn't understand that they've been involved in a war their entire life. Most people don't get it. Now that is changing quickly. I mean, I think the Trump era where they called them the silent majority. So maybe most people is not a fair characterization, but certainly there's plenty of people left to do this. So what did we see as a result of this threat? Well, we saw Bitcoin jump up $2,000. So it went from 42 to 44. So why? What's happening? Well, people realize that if you leave your money in the banking system, you're vulnerable. You're extremely vulnerable. It can be taken from you at a moment's notice. The moment they decide they don't like you. And by the way, a couple bits of information here. There was a hack on the funding site. What was it called? Give, Go, Get, or whatever that was called. But there was a crowdfunding site for the truckers, and there was a data breach and a leak, and all of the people who had donated to that cause got leaked. right? So now, I mean, the government could have got it behind closed doors, so I'm not saying they're necessarily part of the leak, but nonetheless, all the people who donated to that cause are known. Anybody who donated to that, are they going to lose their bank account? The government just going to seize all of their property, all of their life savings? Well, what do? Do you sit there and just like an idiot and let the bank and let your money all get stolen? Or do you get it out of there and you run to Bitcoin and you have it in a place that they cannot seize it? Right? Of course. So this is just driving people into the crypto sphere, the entire crypto sphere. So guys, this is very, very interesting news, and it's a very, very positive thing, a very, very positive thing. It was, I mean, a lot of people think, is the government going to crack down? Is the government not going to crack down? Government can't invest with crypto because what's powerful about this is when the government's kind of, by the way, contained in the we're going to seize your bank accounts was also we're going to start monitoring crypto. So it was a double-edged thing, right? They talked about both. But rather than people getting scared and say, oh my God, they might overregulate crypto and ban it and all this stuff, people ran to crypto. And that's very, very powerful because that is their Achilles heel. The monetary system, we have the better weapon. We have the weapon that cannot be defeated. All right, it can't be defeated. It'll never, ever go away. Bitcoin will be there forever. And their system is fragile. It is broken. And so what do all the truckers respond to this threat? I'm going down the bank tomorrow and getting all my money out in cash at the very least. If you can do that, it's correct. Take it out, hold it in cash. That's something you can do, right? Also, transfer it to a crypto exchange, turn it into Bitcoin. Boom. They can't touch it. Get it out of the exchange as well. Get it on your own private keys, and bang, your wealth is protected. Never in history have you had this, right? You could maybe like for this doesn't matter what the quantity. That's the beautiful thing. Like if it was a small amount, maybe you could go and maybe buy a bar of gold or silver or something. But in this exact same situation happened 10 years ago, because it kind of did happen in 2013, happened in 2008. And what happened? You couldn't get any gold and silver. It was gone. You couldn't get it. The supply ran out. The price didn't move because it was all controlled in the futures and stuff, but you just couldn't get it. You had to pay like a 30, 40, 50% premium to get it, if you could get it. But Bitcoin is this 24/7 market, and you can get as much as you want, as if you're willing to pay. And so the price just moves. As people grab it, start snatching it off exchanges and taking it away, the price just jumps up. And so get in early, get yourself into crypto early if you don't have any, because understand, property owned, your wealth stored anywhere else is more vulnerable. Bitcoin, where you hold the private keys, that is the place that is the most secure place to store your wealth. And that is what Trudeau just advertised to the world for us. So thank you to him. Thank you for strengthening this most potent weapon that we have in the war on freedom. Thank you for showing the vulnerability of yours, because I haven't looked at what's happening to banks, but there's talk of bank runs. It's like, okay, you're going to take all our trucks off us and take us home? No worries. We're going to do a run on your banks, right? So this may be where this kind of head towards over the next few days and weeks. So very, very interesting times. We got to crush them. We got to crush them. If you are unaware that you've been in a war your entire life, it's time to wake up. I think most people on this channel are not in that category. So keep on trucking, keep on Bitcoining, and let me know in the comments below. Is my model of the world accurate? Do you kind of subscribe to that, or do you think this is massive conspiracy theory? Remembering, if there's anything you've learned over the last decade or two, and especially the last 2 years, that today's conspiracy theory is tomorrow's prophecy. So make sure that you open your mind to that if you are closed to this. Believe me, everything is true, and I've known about it for nearly 2 decades at this point. All right, guys, take care. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you soon.